gosh, I am so excited for Breath of the Wild. I can't wait until it comes out. I've got to see if there's any theories at all about where it is in the timeline. Oh wow, there's a lot. Oh, these are really good. Wait, but there's one thing though that doesn't make sense. One thing that makes all of these theories incorrect. But it's a secret to everyone.
Open your eyes.
What's up everybody, and welcome to Murph Dat Gaming. What if I told you that every single Breath of the Wild theory that you've heard so far is a lie? Now, I don't mean the fact that they are lying, but the fact that no Zelda theory out there can be right. I'm here today to tell you that there is one piece of evidence that leads to every single theory being wrong. Now, before I dive deep into this, there are a lot of YouTubers out there that I have to give credit for, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to make this list today. There are a lot of them. I did a lot of research on this to see if I was right with everything that I did and make sure that everything I'm saying is correct. And who knows, I'm probably wrong at the same time. But I want to go ahead and give credit where credit is due. Here are the YouTubers that I got my inspiration from. Oh boy, I'm probably going to mess some of these up. Nathan Wooten, The Gamer Musician, HMK, Game Over Jesse, Dr. Wiley, how do you say this one? Midori Plays, Vortexy Gaming, Zeltic, Commonwealth Realm, Zelda Master, and Nintendo World Report TV. I highly recommend that you go to these YouTubers' channels and check out their theory on where Breath of the Wild is. There are a lot of these YouTubers who I really believed that is where Breath of the Wild needed to be in the timeline. But every time I would do my analysis on their theory, I would always come up with the same evidence that makes it not true. Now, I'm not going to tell you what that evidence is straight off. We're going to start this video by going through all of these different theories and telling you why and why not it can't be true, leaving out the main piece of evidence that takes it out. But to keep this interesting, I'm not going to start at the top of the timeline. No, I'm going to start at the bottom of the timeline. Yes, I know that's weird, but just hang in there. There's a reason that I'm doing this. Now let's start with the one that everyone is talking about the most, the adult timeline. A lot of people are thinking that because of the Koroks being in this game, that a lot of people think that it has to take place around this era, whether it be in Wind Waker or after Phantom Hourglass. But I'm here to tell you why and why not that's true. Let's start with after Phantom Hourglass. Well, it could be there because the water drained, and that's why the Koroks are there. And that would also explain why the Master Sword is rusted. And then the Sheikah Stone that is throughout the whole entire game can explain the tablet, all the magical stuff that you use in Wind Waker and the Phantom Hourglass can explain all the Sheikah technology after Phantom Hourglass. This could possibly be the same link from Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass. You have to keep in mind that the link in Breath of the Wild is another link from another game, and the only reason that we know this is because it says in the game that he has been asleep for 100 years and that he needs to save Hyrule again. Again is the big key word here. Another thing that could also lead to it being the Phantom Hourglass is the Tower of the Gods that came out during Wind Waker. Have you ever noticed all of the magical stuff that is inside the tower and the markings on the side? It looks a lot like the Sheikah material that's in Breath of the Wild. But why could this not make sense? Well, just because the Koroks are in the game does not mean that it takes place in this time. See, the Koroks, a lot of people think evolve from the Kokiri from Ocarina of Time, which is not entirely true. They take on the form of the forest, and you could say that this form is their natural form, and they only changed to the Kokiri so that Link could feel like he was fitting in. So this doesn't really make sense, and it kind of debunks that. But there's some other things. It doesn't make sense that the whole entire world could be in decline, but yet they found this new land, and yet it's the same Link. Nothing really matches up there, and that's one of the big reasons why I don't think this particular time would fit for Breath of the Wild. Let's move over to the child era. This is kind of the one that I was really hoping that this was what this game would be about, but sadly, it's not the case. As we know, in Twilight Princess, they talk about a tribe that got turned into the Twilight People, which we all know is more than likely the Sheikah, which is what I was hoping that this game was about, was the Great War of the Sheikah, and that would explain all of the decline around the world, and that would explain everything, except there's a couple things that don't really fit together. The biggest thing of them all is the Master Sword has moved. In Breath of the Wild, it's obviously in some forest area, but in Twilight Princess, it's in the Temple of Time, and in Ocarina of Time, it's in the Temple of Time. Why would they move it and then move it back again? That doesn't really make sense, and it kind of leaves a big plot hole of why they would move it around. I mean, there are other similarities that could also lead to it, like why is Wolf Link here, and that big floating thing that's up in the sky that everyone is talking about in Breath of the Wild that looks a lot like Skyloft or the city in the sky, or even a portal from Twilight Princess, but we'll get back to that in a second. But yeah, Twilight Princess doesn't fit here either, which is kind of sucks because I really like Twilight Princess and I was kind of hoping the games would have something in common. But going back on the whole Wolf Link thing, this game has a lot of similarities with a bunch of different things, and that's what's throwing a lot of theorists off of where it should be in the timeline. All these other things just don't match up together. Moving over to the Fallen Hero timeline, this is where a lot of people were thinking, oh, this game has to fit, and in all honesty, every single theory that I've heard where it fits in the Fallen timeline has been the closest to correct. Let's start over on Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. This would make a lot of sense, mostly because in the Hyrule Historia it says that this is the era of decline, as it says in Breath of the Wild. It also makes sense because this Link would be the same Link as it was before in Zelda 1 and Zelda 2, so it would make sense if he was in slumber. Except, how did he get there? See, this is another thing that doesn't make sense. There's a big plot hole that doesn't explain why Link is asleep. How did he get into the Shrine of Resurrection? It doesn't really make sense. He was put into sleep in order to be awakened whenever stuff went bad again. But nothing was going bad at the end of Zelda 2. That's why a lot of this doesn't make sense. And if 100 years have passed, he had to have been a little older before stuff started getting bad again. Anyway, more influence to why this game could match. There's a lot of Sheikah influence throughout the whole entire Fallen Hero timeline. A lot with Impa and her helping Link throughout the whole entire journey. She's almost in every single game in the Fallen Hero timeline. The Master Sword being rusted can also be explained, and its location. In Breath of the Wild, it's obviously located in some forest area, and the last time that it's touched in the Fallen Hero timeline is in Link to the Past. So, that is a really long time for the Master Sword to just be sitting there, so it makes sense if it was rusted. One other thing that makes Breath of the Wild very similar is the landscape. Nintendo has said themselves that the land looks a lot like it does in Zelda 1, and here's a picture of it to prove that. But just because it looks the same doesn't necessarily mean that it belongs there in the timeline. I mean, it could just be an Easter egg, or just the fact that they're making a lot of similarities to the first Zelda game on how you could do anything, and now you can do anything in this game. But I think the biggest thing that doesn't make sense is the technology. Why is the technology so advanced, but yet it's not so advanced during Legend of Zelda, the original one for the NES? Well, there could have been a huge incline in technology in the 100 years. Maybe the Sheikah were helping fight off some big war that was going on. But it still doesn't make a lot of sense in the timeline how Link got there. So let's go back up the timeline and see what else we can find. Keep in mind that there's still one big piece of evidence that makes all of these games irrelevant to why it could belong in the timeline. But I wanted to go ahead and lay out why it could, so that you have your own opinion on it. Probably the biggest one that I've seen, and the one that I really want to be the case, is the fact that this game could take place before Link to the Past. Let's say, for instance, when Link dies in Ocarina of Time and the fall of the hero starts. Say, for instance, that a huge war wages and Zelda rushes Link to the Shrine of Resurrection where Impa looks over him and he is set there while all this war goes out, and then he's resurrected after Ocarina of Time. That sounds pretty cool, right? And like, all of the stuff, everything, all of the maps line up with Ocarina of Time. There has been so many videos proving that you can like see Castle Town, and there's the Temple of Time. It's amazing how closely resembled that the maps are between Ocarina of Time and Breath of the Wild. But something doesn't make sense here. Where did all this technology go? Why did it come here, and where did it go? If this truly does take place before Link to the Past, it's clearly not there in any of the games afterwards. So where did it all go? This is another thing that doesn't make it sense. But this one is probably the closest one to being correct. But let's go back and talk about some of the other games that are before this and see if maybe they fit a little bit better. The only other game up here that it could possibly fit around is Skyward Sword. Some people think before, some people think after. So let's talk about the after first. This could be Link exploring the new land, and it also has a lot of Sheikah presence because of Impa, and all of the technology could make sense. Link is put into sleep in order to be awakened when the time is right. But that doesn't make sense because Ganon doesn't even appear until Ocarina of Time. Ganondorf himself doesn't either. So Calamity Ganon being there doesn't make any sense. And plus, that can't be Skyloft up in the sky like I was talking about earlier, because Skyloft came down after the end of Skyward Sword. But there's still one more thing that I have not talked about. We're almost there. Let's talk about before Skyward Sword. As we know, there was a huge war that broke out before Hylia sent everyone up in the sky, and that would also explain all the technology, so that would explain all the decline. But the only thing though is the whole entire map lays out like Ocarina of Time, so that doesn't fit either. Why would the Hyrule Castle be in decline along with the Temple of Time? None of that really makes sense. But there's the one thing that makes all of these theories irrelevant. Take a look at Link. The Link from Skyward Sword. Look at him. Now look at the Link from Breath of the Wild. See the similarities? No? Look at the Link from Twilight Princess, the GameCube version. Now look at this Link, and this Link, and this Link. Are you seeing anything? How about this? Link in Breath of the Wild is right-handed. The only Link that is right-handed is the one from Skyward Sword. The only Link. Unless you count Twilight Princess for the Wii, but we're not counting that. The Link in Skyward Sword is right-handed. The only one out of all of the Legend of Zelda games. So why is he right-handed in Breath of the Wild? It would only make sense if he had something to do with Skyward Sword. But you're like, oh, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Maybe he's ambidextrous. No, he's not. He's left-handed in all of the games. Like, if you take all of those other theories and throw in the fact that he's right-handed, that totally throws everything off. There's no way that it could be the same Link. It can't be the hero of Time. It can't be the hero of Winds. It can't be the hero of Twilight. It can't be the hero from the Fallen Era. None of it makes sense because all of those Links are left-handed and this one is right-handed. So where's Breath of the Wild? I don't know. In all honesty, I don't think anyone knows. Don't even know if Nintendo knows. It doesn't even make sense if it's before or after Skyward Sword. So, where is Breath of the Wild? Well, there's one thing. This could be a dream. I hate to say that, and I hope that it isn't, but this isn't the first time that Link has had a journey that's been inside a dream. He's done it in Link's Awakening. But what if that's not the case? Well, maybe this is a split in the timeline, or an alternate reality. I don't really know, and in all honesty, this video wasn't for me to tell you what my ultimate idea was of where this game belongs in the timeline. In all honesty, I really hope that it goes before Link to the Past. But because he's right-handed, it throws everything off, and I kinda hope that Nintendo addresses this problem. Not like they did earlier where they said that it's because the controls are mapped on the right side. I don't think that's ever been a problem because Link has always been left-handed and the controls have always been mapped on the right side. I think Nintendo's hiding something from us, and I think we should probably keep that in mind. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I really hope that it opened up your minds. Please be sure to check out some of my other videos. I made a video a long time ago called the Top 17 Zelda, and it's actually my most popular video on the channel, and I'm actually pretty proud of it. But I've been thinking about making a lot of different Zelda videos. I'm pretty excited about Breath of the Wild, so I've been thinking about celebrating Zelda for the 30th anniversary. I've been thinking about doing either a top 10 songs or top 10 dungeons. Leave a comment down below on which of the two you think I should do. And also, discuss. I would love some discussion down in the comments. Tell me what you think. What's your opinion on where Breath of the Wild should be? I'd like to know. Leave a like or a dislike if you think I did bad. I mean, I don't know. I thought I did decent, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, and I hope to see you guys again. Alright, see ya.